Today I will have a discussion about a market that is affecting actually banks and the society very much in all. So typically when banks run into problems, it's because it's this industry that have problems. So I will talk with Viljar about the real estate industry in the Baltics and also about how you build up a very successful investment business when it is a competition in every deal you are doing. Hi Viljar, welcome.
Yes.
Will be great to have some time to talk to you around this table about different topics. Everything from the real estate market and how it is to be a very successful manager, having more or less started EfTEN and develop it in an extremely good way. I think you have some 66 different properties in investment, 1,000 tenants.
1,500 even.
1,500
Yeah.
even. Oh, I'm modest.
No, but there is not so much difference anymore if it's 1,000 or 1,000.
No. And one thing that really struck me was that when I looked into it, I saw actually it was this international research, or they made it in euro money, asked 15,000 investors what they thought about different real estate investment companies. And it turned out that you, for the second time in a row now, were in the top league in your geography. And economy is quite different now when they did it compared to last time. What's the key for the success?
Yeah, I guess we must be doing something right. Actually, I don't know the answer for that. I've been also asking myself. We are highly regarded by our competitors and other market participants. We are very thankful for that. And I think what is the main reason is we keep our word.
Okay.
We keep our word and in the same time, why we were regarded or voted as the best investment manager in Central Eastern Europe twice by Euromoney. I think our old school, like kind of Warren Buffett style investment approach is something which is really working. And so I think in combination of all of that, and also we have excellent back office. I mean, from a financial reporting side, we have been always brought up as an example. Our CFO has been elected as the CFO of the year in Estonia, etc. So I think you can't say there is one reason. It's a mixed bag of a lot of good results, and I'm not shy. I'm proud about it.
You should be.
Thank you. Yes.
Not bad for a guy that actually studied telecommunications, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up in real estate?
That's a good story. You know, all my family went to Tallinn Polytechnical School.
Okay.
And as I was the youngest one in the family, so when I finished the 9th grade, that was an obvious solution. Nobody pressed me, nobody pushed me, but mother, father, my 2 brothers, then I had the feeling that I need to go as well. On a second course, I understood that I hate electronics and telecommunication, but stubborn as I am, I still managed to muddle through a 5 years program, finished that. And I remember the principal of the school, as I also started daytime work and I was daytime studying as well. If you ask me how is that possible, I don't know. When I think back now, I don't know how it was possible, but my school principal came to me in a end ceremony and said he would never have guessed that I will actually finish that.
Really?
But I did, because I think it was 11 out of 52 who finished. 52 started and 11 finished.
Really?
So there, it was 1,000 students, half Estonians, half Russians, 4 girls.
Among 1,000?
Yeah, and it's a technical school.
When was this? 1800? No.
Previous century.
Previous century.
It was in previous century. Yeah. So, and I think the average school or age of the teachers was like 65 years. So after that, I didn't need to go to army because that was an army school, so to say. Army style school.
What a story. And after, but how did you end up in real estate?
Actually, my brother was the founder of Arturs in year 1992.
Okay.
And he just needed an extra hand. So I was working in transportation industry before, freight forwarding company as sales manager, later on as managing director. And then I left to Arturs, then we decided to leave from Marco Vara with my brother, and then by luckiest accident in 2008, we founded EfTEN. And today, yeah, we are the largest in our small universe in Baltics. But the good thing about real estate, what I love about it, is it's even a big business in a small country. So that's why we have been concentrating only in Baltics, and the real estate is something very particular. You need to know the vibes of a city. You know, you can look on a map, see, oh, this building is in a right location. But it can be like in 100 meters in a wrong side. You have to feel the city, how the traffic works, how the people flow works. So it's very localized. And that's why I think it's also a part of the success, why we are very local and our teams are very local. So how we choose objects. And of course, we had also big tailwind from ECB during this quantitative easing times. But still, last year also we managed very well with the interest rate hikes.
And your brother, he's in the supervisory board now?
Yeah, he's a passive investor, and we had 6 seed investors in EfTEN. 2 of them are the founders of Hansabank in 2008. It happened just before Lehman. I left Arco, then I told to those 6 investors, said, you know, probably now situations like this, international capital will take a flight. And now it's time for locals. Basically, it's a copy-paste situation what we have at the moment. And let's start the real estate business. And this happened like 2-3 months before Lehman. And thanks, and you know, it's easy to be a winner when all these lottery tickets give you prize. I mean, like who? So I think now is the time when actually in a new situation where the real estate market is currently, which tells you who is who, and those times are really testing now.
So it's of course a more tricky market, but it can also open up opportunities.
Of course, a lot of buildings which would never be on sales are on sales now. If you like the price or not, that's the other question. But in a good times, the quality buildings usually are never put up on sale. So there are opportunities, absolutely. We feel a lot of foreign capital taking flight, not because of security risk, but because of, you know, the problems in domestic market, especially in Scandinavia. Then everybody wants to cut their exposure to foreign investments, so to say, and go concentrate on home markets. And that's why it creates a lot of opportunities for guys like us.
But what about the price in the market? Because when the markets are turning quite quickly, which is done with the interest rates going up, it typically becomes a little bit of a standstill in every market, kind of, until you start to find what is the right market price. Do we know what the market price is now, or?
We don't, because Baltics is very liquid also in a good times. But in the same time, there happened a lot of deals last year, especially in the end. 3 bigger deals actually determined the outcome of the year. But they were all a bit like special cases where there was very motivated sellers, let's say like that. But I think the yield levels have went up 100 basis points in minimum, more like 150 from lowest point. And yes, it was the complete standstill because no sensible owner puts up its own property on a sales in a downturn. That's logical. You only do it when you have to do it. And here we have to be thankful for Estonian bank and also commercial banks that this lessons learned from Lehman have been so strong that there is a very minimal over leverage in the Baltics. And also it's the first time in history I can be very proud that our capital markets is so underdeveloped that nobody could issue bonds even if they wanted to do it. So let's say this what is creating a lot of problems at the moment in Scandinavia.
Oh, for sure.
Is not an issue over here.
No, it's a quite high percentage of the Swedish real estate that is the larger companies that are financing the bond market. And when those bonds maturing this year and next year, you need to
roll it over.
You need to roll it over, find and banks' capacity is not really there to pick up those amounts.
course.
So instead you see sales and transactions happening there.
Exactly, and that's the situation that in Baltics the leverage is not, even if somebody wanted to, let's say, very high leverage, you couldn't get it from any bank. So that's why actually the problems doesn't exist in a scale like that. Of course, when a market turns down, there are some losers, some winners, more maybe some losing side, but nothing really critical, at least now.
No, I think that we have had the strategy also learned from the Lehman crisis. And we went into that one as an organization then with a lot of dry powder, which was very useful because it was a lot of money we had to shovel out in that autumn just to help all our kind of blue chip companies that had international banks that then had problems in other markets that were pulling back then. So I think that is very good. But also I think that for the economy as such, sometimes there's been some criticism, maybe less on Estonia, but maybe in Latvia, Lithuania, from more the political side, that Scandi banks are not lending enough, you should push out more money and so on. But I think that this kind of, it creates also this boom-bust economy going up and down, and you will have, apart from that, you will have different winners and losers. But also, I think long-term, more stability creates more GDP, high GDP, better value in that. And that's what you're saying as well.
Yeah, of course, those now the solutions, so to say, if you go like that, that to have some extra windfall tax on the banks which are not popular only in Estonia, but if you look also Southern Europe, they are just like a knee-jerk solutions which government should not have a temptation to do, because last year, or let's say year before, who were the winners? Energy sector. So I don't know, if a government wants to think strategically, then they should say that every year we decide one group of companies who we tax like 50%. So welcome to our country. Yes. Please come and invest here. So yeah.
Come and invest, but if you're the winner, then we will tax you.
We will take it all away. Yeah. So, but welcome to Estonia. So things, unfortunately, things don't work like that, and I'm happy that our government didn't give up or gave into this temptation to do something like they had in Lithuania.
No, I think that from looking at from the outside, not as a banker, but just from the outside, and if you're thinking about how to allocate money, what you want to know, of course, is that it's political stability, rules are not changing, taxation rules are the same and so on. Otherwise, you cannot put it into the Excel sheet, right?
Exactly.
And I think this is somewhere you need to have a long-term view on what you're doing and everything.
Exactly, and no, it's not bad that the discussions like that are brought up and discussed in a society, like all ideas should be. But yes, number one thing what government needs to do is to keep our economy, or let's say our legal situation, secure, stable, forward-looking, that everybody knows what they can expect, and equalize the playing field for everybody. So I think in that sense it's not so bad situation at the moment.
Do you think it's anything that could be done or improved in the Baltic countries in order to attract more international companies, investors? I'm not necessarily talking about competitors to you in the real estate market, but in general, if you would have more companies coming here and investing, it would drive the economy and so on.
I think it's a time for locals now. Yes, after the independence came, we had nothing. Then, of course, we relied only on foreign investments. Nowadays, there has been a lot of successful exits from Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, you name it. We have accumulated some capital, which is still, of course, nothing on Scandinavian standards, but as we have been free only for one generation, then how much you can do it in one generation. So we are periphery market of Eurozone. We are where we are geographically. We can't change it. We have an lunatic next door, so to say, excuse my French, but that's really the case. And also when we have now lost quite a lot of competitive advantages, that Russian electricity, for obvious reasons, cannot enter to the European market. We are short in production, our electricity price is high, our salaries goes up, and what's the wrong if people earn more? So, but on a micro level, that's a good thing. On a macro level, it can be problematic. Yes. So it depends on where you look, and also weakness in our major export markets in Scandinavia is having a huge role at the moment. but it's nothing comparing to the year 2008 when we had a clear credit-driven bubble bursting out on international level, local level. So it's I look at the current situation as an opportunity, especially for locals. Especially for locals.
I can understand that. Coming back a little bit to how you have been building up the business. I mean, what is really good leadership for you? What does it mean for you?
Make yourself unnecessary.
Okay.
That's I mean, I could pack up my things on EfTEN tomorrow, nothing happens. Okay, we probably won't raise new funds. We probably won't do new maybe transactions for some time. But for current building management, I'm not needed at all. And I have very good colleagues around Baltics. And how I do it is I usually tell to my different managers, we have like 10 different teams, like shopping centers, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, hotels, offices, so logistics, so a lot of different teams. And I usually tell for everybody one figure, only one figure, which usually it's NOI, net operating income. And then I say, how you achieve it is your issue. I will not tell anything. And then sometimes people, of course, call me up, my colleagues, and ask for some second opinion about what shall we do here and that. And then I always say, if I would be you, I would do like that. But don't drag me into now this tactical decision, because later on you can come back to me and say, well, we decided together. So, no. If I would be you, I would do like that, but you know what I want from you. I want this figure in the end of the year. And actually it works very, very well, and we are very independent and motivated teams. I'm not sure if it's a good comparison, but one thing, I like this term, what's the difference between Ukrainian and Russian armies? Ukrainian army commanders give their teams a task and don't tell them how to do it. And the Russian army gives them only task what to do and don't tell why they need to do it. So I think there is quite a lot of truth in there. So we like this style that we should get from here to here. How you do it, it's your call.
So you kind of hand out the task, and then you can potentially be an advisor to
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a way of not coaching in that sense, but giving an advice, but it's very clear who is the responsibility and so on.
Exactly. We can't share responsibility on tactical levels, because then I should run this specific unit by myself.
Yeah.
But of course, if advice is needed, what shall we do? Then of course we come together, we discuss every single thing what is needed. But still, all our sub-leaders or team leaders know that they are the ultimate decision makers in every process.
How do you view mistakes in the organization?
Has to be open. We have made a lot of mistakes. Who hasn't? I said one of the biggest mistakes we have made last year or year before, we did not fix interest rates. And it was an honest mistake. I later on said, well, I take it on myself, but I said, wasn't like we were late or we didn't think about it. We thought about it a lot, but we were so afraid that thanks to the disappearance of Russian gas from European energy market, that the energy, if you follow the headlines in Financial Times, then it was like, who is going to be disconnected, what time, and so on. That was the discussion. And then we thought, whoa, the interest can stay high for a long, and it has to come down. But it went so high, we didn't forecast it. But then I tell to my colleagues, okay, we made a mistake. But when you have done a mistake in your life, then there is only one advice: don't make it twice. So I said, now the mistake would be to fix it now.
Yeah.
So we made there, now let's suffer the pain and be smarter at least wiser or more experienced in the future.
So would you say that this is the least good decision in your career?
I think it has cost us a lot. I mean, alternatively, it has cost us a lot. No doubt about it, so I can't be proud about it, but also I've told to my funds, EGMs, where is hundreds of investors that open like that, said, we're sorry, it was our mistake, I explained how we were thinking, and then, you know, when you're open about mistakes, then you get, how to say, good feedback. If you start to hide the mistakes, if you start to, you know, like show, put them on a side, like nothing to see here, let's move on, then you have a problem. So actually mistakes are the best things you can learn from. And you know, that's why it's a cruel thing to be an entrepreneur, because success is something which has to be. If you're unsuccessful, then you are but look at sports. It's if you're unsuccessful in sport, okay, there is a next event coming up, so what's the difference? But in business you have to be successful all the time, and it's quite stressful.
You must have done hundreds of investments over the years, right?
True.
And some have been fantastic, some have been, I guess, less fantastic. What is it that made the ones that are, if you think about the ones that have been kind of the real best ones, what made them so fantastic?
I think that we took the risks not knowing how we're gonna solve it, but we knew that we're gonna do it, and just like this entry price to a single project has been so comfortable, meaning so low that, okay, if we are not right here, there, or third place, we are still okay. And also we are some of this fund manager who is not afraid of hard work. I mean, we have rebuilt Hotel Palace, we have rebuilt Hotel Radisson Collection, we have built 3 shopping centers from scratch ourselves. So we have done a lot of turnaround things which usually investors of institutional capital don't do it. They usually buy like ready-made buildings, tenants there, you know, some small maybe things here there, but we have been in that case very like hands-on, and that has been one of the key to our success. Yes.
And in terms of the least good investments, what can you learn from them?
Actually, when we founded EfTEN, then one of our founders said that, you know, guys, we were then 16 years younger. Said, you know, boys, don't think that you will not do anything wrong. Clearly you will, we will see. But I have to say, honestly, that only one investment has not turned out how we have wanted.
Okay.
We bought one land plot in Jelgava where we wanted to build this do-it-yourself store, but we didn't get the permit from municipality for that. The land is there, the planning is there. We need to have some other alternative for that. But that's the only project in EfTEN history which we went in and didn't succeed with the plan A. But there is no money lost, as the, you know, land plot is there. We just need to come up with a new idea. So other things for better and worse, of course, but have turned out quite okay.
Isn't it? I mean, sometimes people talk about something that the winner's curse, meaning it's kind of an auction process or something, and the winner's curse is that the one winning might pay too much, which takes down the return. I think it's super important, I think you mentioned it, about kind of what price you enter the transaction on, right?
You know, in our world, in our world, we are always, one thing is missing. Either we miss equity or we miss projects. Usually they are like, have this negative correlation in between. When you have too much equity, then have 0 projects, and the other way around. We have managed to keep the investment discipline also during these high years of the market, let's say from 2016 or till 2021, before the Ukrainian war started, or energy shocks and all of that, and COVID, of course. So we managed to keep till that time also in these years when the market was going up and up and up, this discipline, where it was very easy to raise equity. You could overpay anything and just grow your asset value. But thank God that we had this experience from 2005 till 2008, seeing this last crisis before Lehman and what happened after that. So it resemble or remind me a lot of what happened back then. And that's why we were very cautious, not only me, but to all our investment team.
And when you have acquired an asset, of course, but as most of the assets, there is some work needs to be done on them. right? So what's the first thing you do when you're done and when the acquisition is closed?
It depends. We have all kinds of animals. I mean, sometimes we buy a brand new building, sometimes a building where you basically leave only concrete walls, take everything out. During acquisition phase, we of course ran it through what we're gonna do it on a first day. So I can't say that there is an overall recipe for that. For us, it's like Blackstone, the number one superstar in our game is saying very elegantly in their website, what's their strategy? To buy quality real estate in good locations with a less value than reconstruction value.
Yeah.
See, basically that's simple like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I look a new project from cash flows and so, sometimes yield is a relative figure. The price you pay per square meters is fixed. It will not change in the future. That's the price you pay. Yields can change. So that's why for us, the price per square meter, what we pay is the number one criteria or number one figure we look for.
But then it must have been a couple of interesting years because we saw the construction prices have had a boom-bust story for the last 2 years, right?
Yes, and that's why now we managed to finish our Radisson before this real hike in the construction because we were lucky, or somebody would say wise, but I'll be honest, we were lucky not to have any ongoing constructions at that time. All were finished. And now we are thinking of starting something again because we see the construction market is really down. So it's again like a buyer's market, or I mean like who orders the construction. It's a customer market, not a contractor or a construction company market. So we can use this advantage and probably we will start a thing or two this year only because of the fact that but the construction prices as such haven't fallen so much. It has fallen, but if you of course put it in a correlation with inflation what we have had in the same time, then it has relatively fallen a lot.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't show you on the euros, but relatively it's much more cheaper than it was.
If you look on different pockets of the real estate market in the Baltics, then we can start with a big asset class, offices. Then if we go internationally, we can see that I think valuations and demand has dropped quite significantly in the US. This effects after COVID, people not really coming back to the physical office. Maybe some companies actually need to do extra investments just to attract people back. And now we see many companies more or less start to force people back as well because it's a cost of having them not being in the office and so on. How do you see about the office market and development in the Baltics?
Well, now I need to quote SEB actually. I don't know if I tell a big secret out, or you once said, or your colleague said to me that our in-house view in SEB is like this, that what happens today in London will happen after 3 years in Stockholm, and what happens today in Stockholm will happen after 3 years in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Riga, Tallinn, Vilnius. So, but actually you've been right. But we are a bit different. Not I want to say that this time is different, but cities are different. Commuting is not the problem in Vilnius and in Tallinn. The cities are very compact. We were lucky, especially Vilnius, to have a big scale roads done during the Soviet time. So this connectability between the different parts of town are quite good. The only big problematic child is Riga, which has a terrible traffic situation daily. So it's Riga city center is more like a donut. It means like empty in the center and all the life is around. So that's why also where next to our office, Campus Jaunateikä, where now SEB is located. So all this Astroma Magistral and all of that works in Riga quite well. So actually in Riga we see that this working from home is a real thing. From in Tallinn and Vilnius somewhat also. But of course, currently the demand, let's say, organical demand for any new is very soft. We have had 2 years of economic contraction in Estonia. But at the same time, we can't say that companies are also leaving, or that's also not the case. And also Estonian or Baltic companies are rather small compared to Scandinavian. So you know, what to do. You lease 200 square meters. What do you then do? Give up a kitchen or toilet, or, you know? And it's for a lot of companies not this highest thing or the number one thing in their P&L what to follow. But clearly this hybrid thing is here to stay. Yep.
And that will soften demand for times to come as well.
Absolutely. To get, you must be really, really brave to start today some kind of office development from zero. Or then you must have very good location, client or something, let's say, just from scratch to start speculatively is very, very hard and tricky thing.
Where are we in quality of offices in the market? Because we used to say, first of all, I mean, as you say, in real estate, location. But then also quality. So if you have a kind of good location, a good quality place, you can probably kind of attract tenants and successful companies and so on. So I think, of course, for natural reasons, after the freedom of the Baltic countries again, it was a revamp of the whole office industry and so on and so on. And quality has been increased. Is it still a demand to move out from kind of less into good, or do we see that the market is getting more mature?
Yeah, let's say I think this wave moving out from the Soviet-style office buildings is now more or less finished. And now, of course, you need to invest quite a lot to keep, and we are doing the same to keep our offices up to date. Because, you know, there are certain things which you can do with existing building, and there are a lot of things which you can't do or are too costly to actually make it happen. So it's a constant race between the owners to keep their product up to the current standards. But, you know, that's a good thing for the tenants. Client wins from that.
So, but one should not really expect to see any major kind of big office constructions in the Baltics, is what you say then?
I would say so. If there is not some kind of tailor-fit company or tailor-fit, I don't know, kind of need for particular government, sometimes is now quite a big actually procurement process are going on for some ministry offices or something, or maybe also some other alternative governmental use office buildings. So, but yes, I would say the demand is very big for a new everywhere in Baltics, not only in Estonia, everywhere.
I think what you said about what happens in the US then happens in the UK and then in Sweden, then here maybe. So, one sector that we have been cautious about for that reason, that is the retail sector, shopping malls and so on. Because we saw that it's kind of more than 5 years ago now that started to happen in the US, kind of e-commerce and kind of more lower quality. They started to shopping malls, they transfer those into data centers, whatever, some were just becoming empty and so on. And we've seen some of them giving up in Stockholm as well, when it's kind of not a good location or an older kind of property and so on, right? And then we have been concerned that will kind of transfer over to the Baltics. And of course, we have the famous T1 here in
But that's the only example you have.
That's the example. But where is that market heading now? Because it's been keeping up really well, I must say. But I also see now just some anecdotal signs. The shopping mall that is closest to where I live, Täby Centrum, it's now Westfield owning that one. And it starts actually to be kind of free space in that one. So last weekend I was watching there with a family going to this Titanic about the ship going down. And that was actually coming from New York, I think, that exhibition. So suddenly, instead of having a big store there, now they have an exhibition instead to use the... So of course, for me it signals that, of course, I guess that landlords don't want to lower their prices. And at the same time, they start to get kind of some empty spaces that I have never seen there before. And I know that probably Swedish purchase power has been hit maybe even more than here due to the inflation and so on. But anyway, I mean, how do you see the retail market?
Everybody was so concerned about, I have to say honestly that that's the only point where maybe I disagree with the Sven, or sorry, SEB. SEB the most. So actually, our office building, or sorry, retail centers are, I would say, the best subclass of real estate in our portfolio. And usually, and it's, I think it's quite controversial thing that we are owning one big shopping center in Sauliai. which is like 5th largest town in Lithuania, but for a lot of people, even some from Lithuania, you can say it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But 100,000 people were centrally located, working beautifully. NOI keeps increasing. We own shopping center in Panevežis called Rio, which is one of the local, very goodly managed, done. All the tenants who can be there are there, working perfectly. So actually, these smaller centers, like also we have in Viljar and we have in Jelgava rough centers, perform extremely well. The problem are more with these large-scale shopping centers in capitals, because also Tallinn is a very small town. You can't say that or all those big centers compete with each other, and there you always have to be fresh. You always have to offer for your clients something more or visitors. So actually, to keep up with the fight, with the competition fight in the capitals are much big struggle. Our regional centers work like a bond. It's like a fixed income market. So it's like, and we are extremely happy with that. But we have to say that, of course, online sales is here. It's not increasing so much anymore. But the idea that now all shopping centers are something from the past is not the case. In US, there was a huge overproduction in the 90s, 60s, and 70s. So built up in the wrong places. Detroit lost, I don't know, three times people in some period of time. Of course, then you don't need so much shopping centers also.
But I think something that I see that's happened since those statements were done 5-7 years ago, I think by our chairman in the bank as well, very honest, Mr. Wallenberg being in the US then, is that the pure e-commerce business model, it seems that now you have e-commerce companies also moving into, what is it called when you blend these business models? You have physical as well. You have a store and you have... Right. You start to blend it because you need to have kind of a brand vision out there and selling. Exhibition halls and that. So I think it's the market, it's more kind of, how should I put it, the channels are kind of more maybe melting together than just kind of dividing in that sense. It's kind of my reading, and that's the difference.
And that's why you see quite a hefty boom in the stock office products in Estonia, now more also in Latvia, Lithuania, that you have your showroom, you have your warehouse, and you have your office in a one, and that's a perfect thing for companies who mainly do their sales online, but still need to have some kind of retail space as well. So I'm not worried about retail. I'm not optimistic about it. And T1 should have never been built. Everybody told them that, but they were, and no bank from Baltics financed that. So, but they were stubborn enough to do it. So here it is. But we can't take just one bad apple and compare this to everybody.
No, I think that's a unique one.
That's unique because look at less than 100 meters from there is the other uniqueness. The most successful shopping center, I would say, in Baltics, Ülemiste. So they are so close by. But of course, I'm not an optimist of that. But we use some opportunities because we felt like this asset class is oversold.
Yeah,
this was oversold. But we are not also any kind of like a real optimist of that. But we saw a number of opportunities which we used.
So you could enter at a decent price.
Exactly.
And at a yield high enough to take with a cushion in it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because our if we compare to the purchase prices, then our Rio producing the double-digit net yields to purchase price, Saures Mestas the same. And every euro what you earn in smaller town equals the euro what you earn in capitals. But capitals are emotionally valued higher. So there is a difference, and there are pros and cons.
Now we've seen some real estate companies back in the days, I was to say, after the financial crisis in Sweden, then like this Kungsleden and so on, that was kind of buying assets in second, third tier cities around in Sweden. And of course, they could buy them at a way higher yield than if you go to the big cities. But then, of course, the market was more kind of evening out, and you got a good return. Another asset class which is smaller, but that everyone, not least TCB actually, was very interested in when COVID started. That is the hotel business. With us as business travelers not having the pleasure to stay at Radisson Collection as an example, then but instead sitting at home and using the Teams and so on instead.
True.
And of course now that market is back, and last being a client at the hotels in the Baltics, it seems that last year was a good year. But what will happen with that going forward? What do you think?
Let's say we, of course, in our Radisson collection and in Palace, we achieved the turnovers were higher than before COVID. But the problem is costs. You know, energies, employment, all is up. So profit-wise, we are still behind, not too much, because we don't compare to last year. Everybody in hotel business compares to year 2019, because that was the last full year before COVID. So we are happy about it, but of course it's a nasty business to be in. I mean, like this lead time is so short. Even I'm looking at myself when I go to some business travel, I usually don't book hotel in advance. And then sometimes I say, oh, I'm here, I need hotel, okay, booking or something, and here you go, yeah? But then think about hotel management. You don't know in the morning, is your building full? Or it's not so bad, but
I see what you mean.
But this this management of that becomes very critical or an issue, because a lot of orders are done in the last minute. But yeah, we are extremely satisfied with our hotels. We see the strongness going forward, but overall figures are still not back there where they were. I mean, the tourists wise, where they were before the COVID. But we are getting more than our fair share of the market because of, and again, now I'm not shy, we were brave enough when the COVID started, when no planes were flying, no buses were going, or and no ships were sailing, to say like we gonna now invest 25 million to our hotel renovation. And a lot of people looked at us with like jaws dropping, and are you serious? I said, yes, we are, and it turned out to be very right call.
Well, you didn't have, so to speak, an alternative cost for that one, because
exactly
you didn't lose any income. So if you have the money, it's probably a good time.
Yeah, of course, yes.
But what about the composition of the clients? I would assume now that it's more leisure versus business clients.
Actually, I can't confirm it. I think the comp set has changed, and it's constantly changing. But still, we see this, so to say, anti-COVID wave after him.
Okay.
That companies really now want to get together again. We have a lot of, in our hotels, a lot of events where people from different parts of the same company in Europe fly together, have their get-togethers, strategy days, meetings, mixed with some pleasure and wine drinking in the evening. So actually we see quite a lot of those events. More question is that as the Finnish economy is doing bad, as we all know, and we are in Tallinn very dependent on Finnish tourists. It's always every second tourist in Tallinn is Finn. So if the situation over there in the home market is not good, then it has effect on us as well. But relatively speaking, hospitality is doing well because they had so horrible years before. so now everything looks very fine.
Yeah, but I guess a challenge in that, overall the access to people and good people, and I think that's a challenge in that industry. Of course, very many of the experienced people kind of left during the COVID years, and now they have restarted again.
Absolutely, and also I have to say, which is not very maybe positive thing to say, but we have been helped here. It's not positive, of course, by the Ukrainian crisis.
I'll get in some people.
We have got, and actually very hardworking, very good people who have learned, I'm amazed, Estonian language is very difficult language in my understanding, and they have learned that on a very speakable level with 6-9 months. So actually we have got a lot of help. Of course, the reasons behind that are terrible, horrible. We all understand it, but in the same time, we're also happy that, I'm also, when we had Soviets coming to our country in 41, then we all went to Sweden, or not all, but the Estonians went to Sweden. Yeah. But now we are this Sweden where Ukrainians coming. We are like West Berlin over here. Yeah. So and I'm happy that we have been able to offer these people a new chance or a way to earn money, and that has been actually quite a big help to all Estonian service sector, manual service sector.
I can imagine it's good, really good inflow. So how do you see, in general, then the willingness of the tenants willingness to pay the rent, but the ability also to pay the rents and going forward? I mean, it's a softer market development. GDP is some minus 3.5% in Estonia. We talked about different sectors here, and it sounds like getting indexations raises very tricky in this market then.
Some figures from last year, we have had like for like rental peak or growth like 4% in EfTEN overall portfolio now. And it's the same like speaking about the bag loans in a bank. You know, I could ask you the same, that there should be now a lot of bag loans. Every bank manager is saying there isn't, which is true. And actually I'm saying the same thing about our tenants. We also expected a bigger setbacks, which we haven't seen. But I think the darkest moment, as we all know, is before the dawn, and I think the dawn will come maybe second half of this year. Hopefully when Scandinavia starts to recover, when interest rates start to fall, when the demand picks up again. And let's see. But last year I was amazed how solid and strong our client book is. Vacancies are very low. And actually we have no bad debt problems. Yes, we have, there are some, but nothing newsworthy.
My personal take is that I think that the Baltic countries now get the benefit of the very costly crisis back in 2009.
Exactly. Totally
because
agree.
also when I meet companies, I mean, they operate with a quite good margin. And I think that many has learned the lesson, what does over leverage mean?
Exactly.
That means that you hit the wall when it gets bad times and you avoid that one. So.
And actually that's why we see in real estate, and we have our internal EfTEN jokes that we see some real estate market participants who haven't had this experience. Then we see these youngsters, then we always laugh, okay, you will see. So,
they will learn a lesson.
Yeah, there is some learning curve to be handled, but go with your own way. Yes. Sometimes, of course, maybe we turn ourselves too conservative, but that's when I'm saying, like, who you want to be your taxi driver. Some taxi driver who is like driving soft and solid, or then who is like VRC wannabe. So
I know which one I prefer.
Exactly.
But if you look then on the real estate market, then it's probably have a little bit more challenge with the tenants will have a little more challenge then, right, going forward. On the other hand, we saw a quite big change in the market. Was it like in mid-October, later October, when markets started to realize that probably have already reached the peak of the interest rates, and we will have a downturn somewhere in 2024. And at least the Swedish real estate stocks, they went up some, I think, since then 35%-ish. And it's happened, I think, in all markets. Valuation of the equity goes very fast up and down in real estate, and for obvious reasons. And I think as we speak now, we have some expectations on 140, 150 bips this year in rate cuts, both in the US and Europe as well. And Lagarde was out this morning with some interviews and comments on that as well, seeing things starting to move as well. I mean, this is a cushion going on the other side, and maybe I don't know if you hedged all the interest rates, but anyway, I mean, it's
I think
for the industry is something positive.
Trend has turned. Trend has turned. It's anyone's guess how low or where the 6 months, 3 months, 1 month Euribor will be even by December this year. A lot of opinions. The truth will reveal itself, but most probably it won't be higher than it is at the moment. So that we can say with a high certainty. So if you are managed with the current level of your costs, then actually what we have also told internally to our employees from EfTEN, now our focus goes from cost management to income management, meaning client relationship is now number one thing. Of course, client relationship is a number one thing all the time, but still now I think this is the most crucial thing. And that's why everyone, maybe some haven't got used to that, but everyone was forced to use with their situation of higher interest rates like they are at the moment. So I think this year will bring some new trends in real estate sector. Nothing very, let's say, groundbreaking in that sense, but still we expect the market to turn, yes.
And do you think thereby that, yields have moved something from like 5.5% to 7% on the best assets in the Baltics?
Yep.
Do you see that we have reached now the equilibrium on that one, or is it still so that some might need to sell assets so it will drive it even higher? Or
I think we have reached this level, but effectively our financing cost is like 6%.
Yeah,
as margin plus Euribor today is like 6%, okay? And if you get 50% LTV, loan to value, so if you want to earn some mid-teens for your equity, so you can have even the latest version of Excel, but still you need a net yield like 8% to make the math work,
yeah.
But for, let's say, flagship buildings, the yield level is around 7, and I think it will not go higher from there.
We talked about international investors before and they not being present in the market now, right?
Yes.
On the contrary, they have been exiting some major assets last year. But you have also investors in your funds that are also from outside, right?
Actually, only one.
Only one?
Okay.
Yeah, of course. And that's a special type of
Exactly.
money. So it's kind of mainly local money then?
Yeah, it's a local. We also, of course, Vienna Insurance Group, this is public information, but they are also investing local money.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't been able to attract, and actually there wasn't much need even for that, as the local pension funds have built up their muscle. Of course, we had a very unfortunate populistic reform done in Estonia, which effects are very long term, which are starting to show itself. But otherwise, local capital, not markets, but let's say, if we exclude stock exchange, which is still weak anyway, but growing, but not there where it should be. You have plenty of local investors as well.
Yeah, and that's of course great because then you get the stability in the market.
Exactly.
Then. I mean, when you just mentioned this about the pension, one of my real concerns that goes for all the 3 Baltic countries is that even with a quite long time horizon, I'm concerned that there will be way too many people that when they reach retirement age will have way too little money to live on, low pensions. But I also can understand that it's tricky for people now to do the savings that you need to do in order to build up that capital. But at the same time, state doing something that is counterproductive in this, I can't understand that one.
That was the case, I would say, where I was unhappy to be Estonian. I think it was a big step in very wrong direction, what we did over here. No 20-year-old person thinks about saving for pension. No, at least vast majority. Maybe there are some, but not so much. So actually, if you broke up the scheme where people need to save, then we will have, after 20 years, big differences in pensions between those people who continued to save versus those who took the money out. And that's a very unfortunate case, but that is something, and I think it's a struggle to be seen in the future when we have all this, how they say, grey economy, because people are turning grey and the average age goes up, but what to do, that's a challenge is to be handled.
Yeah, we are where we are in that one. Another kind of mega trend that is happening is, of course, all around sustainability. And what do you think will be the major effects for the real estate industry as such of the sustainability trends?
I think everybody's working on that. There has been a lot of like greenwashing also, which I would say is now starting to disappear. Now it really comes to real facts. And also it comes from banking. If your project is not clean enough, you get the different margins, and that's a very good kicker. I mean, that's something which puts everybody to work. It affects a lot. Of course, there are not so many things what you can do with older buildings, depending on what kind of building we're speaking about. For some, you can do a lot, but if you have, let's say, glass facade to the south side where is the sun always going in, well, it's very tricky to change it, yes. But in the future, what we see also, that one thing is what landlords are doing. the other thing, and more importantly, is what the customers are asking. So it's not only now the let's say free will of the owners if they do it or not. If you don't do it, you are out of the market. So that's why actually I'm very optimistic about it. I mean that these emissions will come down, but as a planet Earth, until India, US and China won't take it seriously, we are lost.
But are tenants asking, are you winning or maybe potentially losing contracts based upon what's the energy consumption per square meter and so on? That's a key parameter.
It's starting to be more and more, especially for international companies. Local players, let's say everybody is aware of environmental issues. Who takes it more seriously, who not so. But for international companies, that's one of the key parameters. You have to, if you don't have a competitive building, you are out of the picture.
And they are probably big enough. They are sooner reaching into the reporting directive, this CSRD in terms of reporting this data then.
Yes.
So that's kind of starting to drive the behavior.
Absolutely.
Very much in that plan.
Yeah.
I heard from a sustainability responsible person on one of the larger Swedish real estate companies saying actually that maybe it's like swearing in the church, I don't know, but actually from a sustainability perspective, probably we shouldn't build that much more offices in Sweden. It's more because kind of the construction in itself, at least with the current technology, concrete and so on, until you have found a solution to that one. And it's better maybe to refurbish things that you have and improve. And how do you view that one?
My answer to situations like that is always let market decide it. But at the moment there is no demand even for a new offices. So, but in general, I agree. I agree, but actually it's demand-driven market. So if the demand is there, offices will be built up. But if it's not there, nobody will do it. Just do it regulatively, it doesn't work. But I think how European Commission has played this ball, that to make the financial sector as the heart of enforcing the ESG, meaning what kind of rate you get from a bank. I think it's very clever and logical way to play, as in Europe we are very bank loan dependent versus US, which is more like private capital markets dependent. So I think that's the way the world will go.
It's like this about the know your client and not least anti-money laundering. You push the banks in the front of it, and then you very demanding of banks, and then you make it happen in society. It's a way into the society in that perspective.
True.
Great. How would you assess the current market? More opportunities or more threats?
Equalized at the moment. It used to be more to the threat side, but now also opportunities are there. So I would say it's very, very equal in that. Threats are always there, but more and more opportunities coming up. So I think this year will be a change of the trend.
Let's hope for that.
Let's hope for that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.